Hello everyone, it's Stephen Whiteside here from theuptrend.com with your morning market outlook for Wednesday, August 12th, 2026. In the pre-market this morning, stock index futures are trading higher, once again being led higher by the Nasdaq. There's a couple of stocks out with earnings this morning that are helping to push the Nasdaq higher. Commodities are higher this morning. We have both crude oil, gold, and silver all trading up on Wednesday morning. Now, we do have some CPI numbers coming out at 8:30. Those numbers could certainly help change the direction of the market. Now, a couple of stocks with earnings out this morning. Both CoreWeave and Supermicro are out with earnings, and they're both trading higher on Wednesday morning. Now, today could turn out to be a very interesting day in the market. We have a lot of celestial activity going on today, not just a change in the moon cycle. But here we are, and I've been watching moon cycles since 1984. I took a week-long course in Chicago on trading commodity futures, and on the first morning, our instructor announced that we're going to take a field trip at lunchtime to go to the local bookstore to pick up a copy of the Farmer's Almanac, which of course followed the moon cycles, and so that was a good reference tool. Of course, today we don't have to buy a Farmer's Almanac. There's lots of ways to find out when a moon cycle is going to happen. And of course, we have a link on our website to that so we can keep track of that. But it's a great tool to anticipate short-term trend changes in the market. It usually happens when there's no news in the market. And for commodities, that can happen a lot. There's periods, depending on the individual commodity, when there really isn't a lot of news that could affect that commodity. Now, when it comes to stocks, and now we're in the internet age, social media, we're constantly hit with news. And with the president who's in office right now, who's constantly tweeting, it's hard to find a lull in the news. But it still works on a regular basis, and so I still follow it. Today is a really unique day for people who look up on the sky on a regular basis. There's lots of stuff going on. There's planets lining up. There's solar eclipses, depending on where you live in the world. Partial eclipses. There's lots of stuff you can see tonight if you get a clear view of the sky, and that's not something that happens to us since we live downtown. We rarely get to see the moon, never mind everything else. We keep track of the moon cycles on this chart number 6. And one of the things that people need to understand is a lot of times moon cycles happen on the weekend when the stock market is closed. And so you don't get that absolute direct relationship between a moon cycle and a trend change in the market. When we look at this chart, there's lots of points on this chart in which NVIDIA changed direction on a short-term basis. And so I don't take action based on knowing when the moon cycles are coming up. I just anticipate that something could happen. Whether it's enough to actually change the trend or not is yet to be determined. We're always just anticipating that we could see a trend change, and it may not happen for the whole market. It could happen for some individual stocks, but over the next few days, we'll just keep track of what's going on. Looking at the VIX, no major changes on Tuesday, basically an inside day for the S&P. A little lower for the Nasdaq and the Russell, so options traders are certainly not spooked coming into today's trading action. Looking at the major index ETFs and starting off in Toronto, when we look through the major index ETFs that we follow, one trend change yesterday. We had the iShares for the TSX energy sector with a new buy signal. That joins the U.S. energy sector, which generated a buy signal yesterday. So there's that chart coming back. The TSX had a bearish reversal day yesterday, still closed higher on the day, did not close below the previous day's low. We were trying to get to $54.69. We got as high as $54.59. So you may have gotten some orders filled up at that level. It was a bearish reversal day. Pros are still in control, so certainly not overly concerned about the TSX falling out of the sky at this point. Looking at the U.S. market, no trend changes for the major index ETFs that we follow on a regular basis. We've been watching semiconductors closely. They did generate a buy signal. The pros have almost taken control here. You can see the public's giving up on this trade at the moment, but we certainly don't have a trend change coming into today's trading action. If we look at semiconductors and if we do a sort on the SOX index, we do have one new buy signal, and that's KLA. That generated a buy signal yesterday. We've been watching Intel, which generated a buy signal last week, still not going anywhere. The pros are almost coming back to take control, so there could still be some life in this trade, yet we have no reason to do anything this morning when the market opens. Now, looking at tech giants, if I do a sort on our tech watch list, we have two trend changes from yesterday. We've got Meta back on a buy signal, and we've got Alphabet or Google back on a sell signal. And if we look at Meta, you can see we had some panic selling there, and we were looking to see if the March lows would hold, and they did. We did break the June lows, but we did not break the March lows. And so we come back fairly quickly, and to me, this looks like short covering so far. If we go back in time, right now we're trading below the 200-day moving average. We ran up to the 100-day moving average yesterday. You can see previously the moving averages have acted as resistance several times over the last year. And so we'll have to wait and see if we can break above that. And we're certainly projecting a breakout to the previous highs. If we look at who's in control, you can see the pros are nowhere near taking control. So this nice move off the bullish reversal day here, it looks like it's been all short covering so far. Still waiting for new money to come into Meta. We haven't seen that yet. Hopefully, for this trend to continue, we need the pros to come back and take control. Here's the daily right side chart for Meta in New York, and we've got an open gap here that could act as resistance. So far, we have not been able to trade into that open gap, so just keep an eye on that. There is the same stock in Toronto. Then looking at Alphabet, Alphabet's back on a sell signal. The pros gave up control a couple of days ago, so they got ahead of this trade, and there's Alphabet trading in Toronto. Last up this morning, quick look at the energy sector. Both crude oil and gasoline continued to move higher yesterday, while we had a very small pullback in natural gas. And natural gas could make its way all the way up to the $12 level, but we'd have to get through the flypaper channel first. So our expectations for natural gas are limited at this time. Now in Toronto, we had a bunch of new energy-related buy signals yesterday. In New York, just one. And of course, the U.S. market has moved up ahead of the Canadian market. Now, the U.S. market is always a little less volatile than the Canadian market when it comes to the energy sector. A lot of the stocks in the U.S. are multinationals. They've got a whole bunch of different income streams, whereas the Canadian stocks are a little localized and not as many opportunities to make money. So here we've got, on a weekly basis, the XLE's average true range is 5.22. In Toronto, we're looking at 6.39. Now, that isn't as high as U.S. tech stocks, which have an weekly average true range of 6.54. And of course, if you want to sleep at night, you focus on the financials, which just have a weekly average true range of 2.51%. There's a lot less opportunity to make capital gains in the financial sector than there is in energy or technology, but of course you're taking on that extra volatility when you play in those sectors. Okay, folks, that is all for this morning's presentation. Have a great day. Next time you'll hear my voice is on Thursday morning, and at that time we'll take a closer look at the most actively traded stocks from Wednesday's trading action.
Thanks for tuning in until the very end of today's stock market timing educational video. If you found the content valuable, don't forget to express your support by hitting the like button, leave a comment, sharing with your friends, and subscribing to our channel for more insightful updates. Remember, in the world of stocks, timing is crucial, and following the trend can be your greatest ally. If you would like more information on how we can help you better time the stock market, please visit theuptrend.com.